for making this interview possible and DDS for vets. And my guest today is Gabriel Axtell. He's a veteran who helps other veterans. Gabriel, thanks for stopping by. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me, Neil.
All right, so let's talk about, as a veteran, I'm going to go with my good friend Sean Welsh, Vet SOS, a transition story. So, talk about your transition story and how that's led to wanting to give back to vets.
Yeah, that's literally the whole reason I think I'm in the industry that I'm in right now. Um, I got out, I was retired, medically retired. I was injured. And I got out in 2020 at the height of COVID. I was on the West Coast, Camp Pendleton, California. And so I moved back to Springfield, Missouri, which was my hometown. And it had been 12 years essentially since I had been back there. So, in 12 years, a lot of people move and people have different lives at that point in time. So I didn't know a whole lot of people when I got back home. Um, and it was probably the most difficult thing I had done in my life was trying to figure out the next steps. After spending 12 years in the Marine Corps, and going to the units that I was at, and I was convinced that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And sometimes life has other plans. And when I got out, I didn't know what the next step was, and it took me a long time, and it was a very difficult road. Um, and eventually, what happened was I had a moment where I was convinced that I didn't have a real purpose in this life, and luckily through divine intervention, I stumbled across a veteran service organization that did peer-to-peer mentorship for guys getting out of the military and crisis intervention and prevention. And so that's how my journey into this path, that's how it started. I got done. I went through about a year-long mentorship program, and as soon as I was done, I go, okay, like, that was incredible. More people need to know about this, especially guys getting out. And I'm like, I'd love to volunteer my time to be a part of that. Eventually, it turned into a full-time role. I unfortunately I lost a really good friend of mine to suicide, and I I realized that people, a lot of individuals don't know that there's amazing organizations out there, um, that really want to help. And unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of advertising for those. Advertising is not cheap, and so you just don't know what you don't know. And I wanted to be a mouthpiece for that. I had my own struggles and my own trials, and now I'm here on the other side. I got a beautiful wife and three kids, and I get to help veterans every day. And it's my passion, and I think it's my purpose and my calling uh, in
So,
life.
so tell me about helping other veterans. What has it felt like being in an organization helping vets and doing
Yeah,
all this? Yeah.
yeah. It's amazing. I've been able to. There's a moment in time whenever you're sitting across from somebody and you're having a conversation, and you can almost visibly see it, where they have hope for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reignition of hope, like, hey, there is
Yes.
something after I had to take this uniform off, that I still have a reason to be here. I still have a purpose on earth, whether that's just to be the best husband or father that they can possibly be. Um, or maybe it's a bigger purpose. I don't know, but some people are hanging on by a thread, and then you give them a little bit of hope, and they go, oh, you know what? That's right. There is something here for me, and I've got to experience that firsthand with a couple individuals. I've been able to speak to a lot of individuals, several of hundreds of individuals, but there's like one story in particular where I had this conversation with this individual. We stayed up till like 3 a.m. in the morning. I had to get on a flight
Oh,
at 7, And like I'm like, we're burning the midnight oil. Um, but it was a great conversation. You never know if it's going to stick, right? You plant the seed and you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if it's going to sprout or what that's going to look like. But I actually got to see this individual 4 months later, and it was the craziest thing. He walks in, and I almost didn't recognize him. That's how drastic the change was. He was all cleaned up. He had lost 40 pounds, and he had this amazing smile on his face. And he came up to me, gave me a big hug, and he said, "I just want to thank you." He goes, um, "My wife and I are back together. We're going to church. I have my kids home. They're now thriving in school because our family is a unit again." And he goes, "It's all because you took a little extra time um, to speak with me that day." And I don't know if I can take that much credit for it. In fact, I don't believe I can. But moments like that, that's what wakes me up in the morning and goes, okay, if I can reach one more person and they can have that same experience, like that would be incredible. So that's what keeps me getting up every morning. It's like I remember that guy and I go, you know what? Sometimes it's tough. It's tough out here in the nonprofit space, in the VSO space. Um, but when you see that, when you see the hope and you see what happens and what can happen, you're like, okay, like these guys are struggling. Like I can
Yeah.
keep putting in the effort to just reach one more individual.
Yeah. And that's what gives you that purpose every day to get up and go to
Absolutely.
work.
Yeah.
So tell me the story of how you met Deb and DDS for Vets.
So funny story is I actually moved to South Florida um, for with my organization because we run an adaptive golf program out of the PGA of America here in Port St. Lucie. And while I was here, I had a background in mortgages. So my first career out of special operations in the civilian world was being a mortgage loan officer
Hmm.
of all things. So kind of a weird transition of desperation is really how I got into the industry. Um, but I was like, it's so convenient because I'm licensed here in Florida. I can come down, I can write loans if I need to here, while we're continuing to build this nonprofit. And I'm always working with veterans, right? That's my whole task and
Right.
purpose. It's like I'm I'm doing VA home loans. That's my specialty. I love VA home loans. I love the product, and I like to educate people about VA home loans. So I looked up on Google, or maybe I chat GPT'd it, top veteran or top real estate agents in my area that like to work with veterans. And so this list of 10 names popped up. And so I hand wrote um, 10 cards explaining who I am and what do I do and, you know, nonprofit work, all of that. And I dropped them in the mailbox and I said, okay, we'll see if anybody responds.
Yeah.
We'll see who all really likes to work with veterans. And it's so crazy. The only one I got back, the only response was from Deb. Um, she said, "Hey, I'd love to meet you." And so I looked up Deb, and I realized that Deb was actually the company I was working with at the time. She actually worked with one of the loan officers that was a friend of mine, and I didn't realize it because I just sent out these letters to everybody. Um, and I go into the office, and we have this amazing. I think it was probably about 2 hours where we kind of shared and exchanged stories of how we got into the industry that we're in. And she goes, you know what? A lot of times veterans want to work with other veterans. And the guy that she works with at the same company, great guy, not a veteran, phenomenal individual. She goes, I still want you to be a part of my team. And I'm like, okay, great. Like I'll be more than happy to do that. And a couple of weeks later down the road, she goes, you would make a great real estate agent. Have you ever thought about getting a real estate license? And I'm like, now I'm joining the dark side, right? Um, if you're a loan officer, the dark side being a real estate agent. If you're a real estate agent, the dark side is being a loan officer. Uh, so now I'm both. So I have my real estate license and I am also a loan officer as well, dual role at the same time.
Wow.
But that's how I met her, because she says she loves working with veterans, and she actually means it. And it wouldn't have taken much for those other people, I think, to just like even respond. That my letter had a email address in there that they could respond to, but no one else did except for Deb, and she wrote this amazing response. And I got in, and I got the chance to meet her, and I got to meet the team here at Link and Link Military and the National Veterans Alliance, and I'm like, these are some people that I want to be around. These are people that really truly care about the veteran community. They practice what they preach, and that's what I'm all about. Like, if you're gonna say it, if you're gonna ride that, if you're gonna ride that marketing, like, you better live it.
Yeah.
And they do. And so I said, okay, like, I'm in. Let's do this thing.
Wow. And it's fabulous when something like this happens for you. And like, okay, now we know what's happening. And I'm sure Deb then explained DDS for vets, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I got to, her office is there, and I walk in the office, and it's just all DDS for vets and all this, the amazing work that they're doing. Um, and I'm like, okay, so you're in real estate and you're doing this. Like, how do you do it? Like, what's going on? Like, teach me. um, and all the people I've been able to meet through Deb, and the people whose lives have been changed, and it's just, those are the people that I want to be surrounded by, or I want to surround myself with as well. And so they got the gala coming up, and they're giving another dog away, and super excited for it. I got to meet you know Mike Colton, which is the dog trainer, and his wife, and it's just such a great team. And so I'm privileged to be a part of the team. Um, and I get to use, also my network, and I've also been in that space of peer mentorship. So I get to use that within DDS for vets as well. Because a lot of times what I found in the VSO world is everyone's competing, it seems like, right? Everyone's like, I don't want you to talk to my donors because those are my donors. And
That's too bad
it
because
is.
because there's one for each one of them, and they each can get a donation, right? 5 or 6 of them, especially if it
Yeah.
reaches different parts of veterans communities.
And that's the thing. It's like, what is the purpose? Why are we doing this then? Is it for our organization to get the glory, or is it to actually help somebody? And so all too often it's like, hey, I want people to know how many people I reach. It's like, well, that's kind of a silly mindset to have. There might be somebody who is who's an avid animal lover, right? And DDS for vets is perfect. They love dogs. They love service animals. Why not? Why not? Like, what's the harm? If it's better to go to somebody who's doing something to making a difference than for it to not go somewhere at all. And so I'm a very, very much open book about how I feel about that, because a lot of people are very closed off about their organizations, and I'm just like, my goal is to help veterans. That's it.
Yes.
So that is my goal. It's not, no one's going to remember who Gabe Axtell is, 100 years from now, except for like my family and the future generations. And that's okay, because you know what? If one person can have that same, generation or genealogy after, they went through a crisis, and they have family now, and they have a name that's continued, like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. Like, I don't need anybody. There's not going to write a history book about Gabe
Yeah.
X.
So
So
you're in the nonprofit space. What's so exciting about the gala for you? Because at least you can speak a little bit differently about it because you're in this industry.
Um, you know, honestly, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be perfectly candid. My favorite parts of the gala is dressing up. That's it. Like, put me in a suit and a tie. Um, my wife, like I said, she's drop dead gorgeous, and I love whenever we get to go to these formal events like that because she loves to get dressed up. And we got 3 kids, and we don't get dressed up a whole lot to go to a lot of different places. All my family is back in Missouri, so we're loners out here in Florida. And so whenever we have an opportunity to go something like this, get dressed up, and then get to meet all the amazing people that are there, and honestly, thank them in person. Um, donations, when people donate to an amazing cause, they get to see, they know that it's something good is happening with it. But one of my favorite things was when I had the opportunity and I went through the organization, I went through the Warriors Journey. I got to go and actually speak at one of their galas. And the first thing I did when I stood up there on stage, I have I've had this amazing change in my who I was as a person, and in my family, and as a husband, as a father. And I got to stand up on stage and I got to say thank you. And it was probably the most impactful moment of my life, but I tend to believe it was very impactful on the lives of the donors as well. Um, because you see the numbers, right? The numbers come across the screen. They say, "Oh, we've reached this many people this year. We've done this many outreaches," and like that's great. But to have somebody who's been actually affected by the um, through the program to come up and say thank you in person and like look at everyone and say, "Hey, you know what? Because of you, like there's a wife at home who still has a husband. There's 3 kids at home that still have a father. Um, and it's an amazing opportunity to really be grateful and have gratitude for the people that still really love and care for the military."
Yeah. So it's the Believe in the Mission Gala, and it's the 5th annual, and it's going to be sold out very soon. By the time after I do all these interviews and we get to January and we do some more promotion, it will be sold out. Saturday, February 7th, 2026, 5:30 to 10 p.m. Hutchinson Shore Resort and Spa in Jensen Beach, Florida. You can check out for tickets by going to ddsforvets.org. You're excited for this for sure, and the organization, and you're going to be there with your wife. So look forward to meeting you guys
Yeah.
at the event. And I guess any plugs you want to give, other plugs out for right now, to you as a loan officer and real estate agent, any way that people can contact you. They
Oh,
want to do.
yeah, I guess you can find me on the Link Military website if need be. If you're looking to move here and you need a real estate agent, or if you're moving into just about any other state in the United States, I can write loans in pretty much every state, which is very convenient, or at least get you talking to somebody who, like I said, who really cares, not just uses it as marketing, but really cares about veterans. I'm always happy to do that. Like I said, I don't really plug myself in there a whole lot. It's just because the real reason I'm on here is because of what DDS for Vets is doing. And like I said, I'm here to help out the veteran community, and make it about helping first. And I think God rewards those who are faithful and trying to reach and help others. And so what goes around comes around, and I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to wake up and have another day, a day with my family and whatnot.
Fantastic. All
So
right. Thanks, Gabriel. Appreciate it. All
thank
right.
you. I
You're
appreciate it.
listening and watching The Neil Haley Show. And thanks, Sergeant Moving Its Store.